The Football Postcast in association with Paddy Power, the place to bet on football in play with a huge special every weekend.
Hello there, and it's FA Cup weekend with all great sides. A little bit of squad rotation here. Bruce Minnington's not travelled with the side today. I've stepped in. Dave Clark of the Racing Post. Certainly nothing second string about our panel, though. With us, we've got Ian Wilkerson and
Dave.
Mark Langdon of the Racing Post. And on the line, we've got Ed Quigley from our friends at Paddy Power. Ed, how's things at Paddy Power Towers?
All good, Dave. Keeping well.
And you looking forward to the magic of the FA Cup? Does that still ring with you?
No, I actually still like the cups. I must say, I actually think there's money to be made in cups. It's easier than leagues myself, but it should be all right. I wouldn't be as naysaying as Bruce would be on it now myself.
Good result last night. Obviously, Liverpool being dumped out of the EFL Cup. Was that a good result for Paddy Power?
Yeah, it was a great result for the company. It wasn't such a good result for myself. I was waiting on them for about $7,000 if they actually won the whole thing outright. But I don't know. Sturridge was awful last night. They created enough chances, but it was a good result for the company, but not for myself.
Wilco still have a bit of cup action, or are you missing the Premier League already?
Missing the Premier League already. I can't be dealing with these cut-out cardboard FA Cups in the stands covered in tin foil and the faux joy, and being told that this is going to be a cracking game when they turn out to be a bit of a washout. So not really my cup of tea, but if Spurs won it for the first time since 1991, then if they get to the final, I might be haggling for a ticket, but I'll wait till then.
Mark Langdon, a quick word on the game last night. Worrying signs of Liverpool is the school of thought with some possible burnout. How do you see it?
Yeah, I don't think it's burnout. I think they're obviously missing Mane, probably even more than they thought, and they knew that he'd be a big absence. Didn't understand the team, maybe, with Wijnaldum not in it from the start. I always think they're sort of better when he's in there, gives good energy. I think it was it Carragher? Certainly somebody last night said that Chan and Henderson shouldn't really be in the same team. I think they do too similar a job, really.
They did have chances.
They did have chances. Oh, well, so did Southampton,
yeah.
though. I mean, first half, Southampton could have had the tie wrapped up. I think, as well, they're just waiting for Coutinho to come back to his absolute best. He's obviously still feeling his way back. I mean, a bit like Ed, though. I mean, I'm in all black today because that was a dark result for the anti-post. I was on Liverpool outright in that as well. But I think over the two legs, the team that went through deserved to go through.
I mean, what price is Southampton now? Obviously, we've got the second leg of the whole Man United tie tonight.
Yeah, Southampton are into 15-8 now, and United are 49.5 for the actual outright, and then Hull are 75-1. I wouldn't be touching that anyway. Definitely not. It's between the United and Southampton for sure.
We're going to fly into the weekend action, but any bets to be had in tonight's game, Ed?
The match betting is 11-2. Hull draw 16-5. United 1-2. I personally wouldn't be touching the 1-2 on United myself. I never back a team that doesn't have to win. I expect United to probably field a slightly weakened team. I don't expect Zlatan or them to play. Maybe a goal scorer betting Rooney or Rashford, whoever starts up top. But yeah, I wouldn't be touching the 1-2 on United myself.
Record breaker, Rooney. Gents, anything catch the eye tonight before we fly into the weekend action?
Not massively. I mean, I was looking maybe at unders, just in the hope that United take their, not taking it too seriously, just want to manage the tie. And I think from Hull's point of view, a sort of competitive performance on the back of the Chelsea one last week sort of stands them in good stead. I don't think they want to get thumped. They probably know they can't actually overturn the deficit. So I would expect a low-key game and United to comfortably progress, but maybe not in spectacular fashion.
Sound like a bit of a bore fest. Wilco, the same for you?
Yeah, I'd have to agree, really. I think unders could be the way to go, or perhaps it could take a while for the first goal to come. Perhaps after sort of I don't know what the line is, Ed, but sort of like about 28, 29 minutes after that. I'll be looking to go long on the goal time.
Okay, got a price on that, Ed? Where the first goal going in?
I think it's around the 28th minute. I don't have it to hand there, but yeah, it'll be about 10-11 there as well. And also the under 2.5 is 11-10.
Okay, right, I'll stick with you, Ed. Friday night, interesting game. Potential upset would have to be said on all-known form of late. Derby are receiving Leicester. I think that's the right term we're using. Incredible stat. Leicester have only won 2 away games all season, albeit this being a cup game. How do Paddy Power price this one?
So Derby are 8-5, the draw is 12-5, and Leicester 17-10.
Any juice there anywhere?
Yeah, I like both teams kind of played their first team in the last rounds. Like Vardy obviously didn't play for Leicester, but I think he was suspended anyway for that tie. Derby have only lost 4 times at home, and as you mentioned, Dave, there yourself, Leicester have only won twice away all season. That was to Bruges and Everton last round of the cup. And like Derby, the 4 games Derby lost at home was all back in September when they were on a poor run under Pearson, and obviously they've changed manager since, and McLaren's overseen a major upturn in form and their league position. So I'd be going with Derby draw no bet here at 5-6, and the magic of the cup to prevail.
Mark Landon, where do we stand with Leicester at the moment? I mean, there's even talk of Ranieri possibly having lost the dressing room. I'm not sure about that one.
No,
but
he hasn't lost the dressing room. He's lost the plot a little bit in terms of formation. I mean, he was the Tinker Man before he came to Leicester, and then he suddenly played the same 11 every single week when they won the league. And
he's
then
back to his old ways.
Against Chelsea, they played 3 at the back. That didn't particularly work. Then they played the diamond against Southampton. That didn't work. In saying that, I mean, I'm struggling to sort of see this as a pick'em game. I still think Leicester deserve to be, favourites away to Derby. So I was looking at the opposite of Ed, really, going for Leicester draw no bet. I mean, Derby's results have been okay. I don't think they've been playing particularly well. They've only won 2 of their last 6, also in the Championship, and I just wonder whether the game they've got against Ipswich on Tuesday is even more important to Steve McLaren than sort of Leicester's forthcoming fixtures. I just think that this is a good opportunity for Leicester maybe to do what they did at Everton in the last round. I mean, that was a very solid performance there, and maybe a drop down in class is just what they need. I mean, they did get turned over by Southampton, but Southampton have gone to Liverpool and won last night. So maybe that result is not so bad in the cold light of day. So I mean, I'll take the Premier League team here.
Wilco, for you?
Leicester have lost a bit of their zip, haven't they? There's no doubt that they're not playing in the same... Well, results state that they're not playing in the same manner as they did. But it was interesting seeing Graham Souness talking about them after the game at Southampton on Sunday. He was saying it's almost as if the players have sort of like believed, oh, I'm a bit of a footballer now, I've won a title, and they're getting ideas above their station maybe and not giving due regard to the abnormal nature of the campaign they had last year. I'm very, like the boys, I'm very much down the middle on this one. I was quite pro Derby towards the start of the week, but now I'm veering more towards the draw. Derby, 25 points in the last 29 at home, and they've beaten West Brom in the last round, so you've got to respect that. But how are they going to deal with the expectation? This is one. It's not an FA Cup draw that's thrown up loads of great games, and this is the one that people. Well, the fact it's on the television speaks for itself. Not only is it a local derby, but people think there's a chance that Derby can turn them over. So they've got to cope with that expectation, and I don't know whether that's going to work to their benefit. So I think, although I'm perhaps more pro. I'm more towards Ed's line of thinking than Lango's, but I think both teams could be quite cautious, and with that producing a low-scoring game, then the draw would be a big price for me at 12-5.
Mark, just quickly before we go to a break and tackle the 5 other games, how important is it as a punter to be looking back and seeing just how serious some of these sides are taking the cup in terms of sides they're putting out?
Oh, I mean, that's the easiest way to work out what they're going to do next time is to see what they did last time. I mean, they are sort of they are creatures like that, really. I mean, football managers. I mean, but the only thing I would say is that sometimes priorities change. I mean, Crystal Palace, for instance, is not a live game. They've dropped into the bottom 3 since the 3rd round, so maybe they'll be even weaker because they've got this, huge game coming up on Tuesday. So you have got to factor that in, but generally speaking, the teams that played the strong team in the 3rd round, if you cared about it then, you'll probably care about it in the 4th round, and if you didn't care about it in the 3rd round, then they're the teams I'd be wary of.
The teams that don't care about it in the 3rd round are the ones who get knocked out.
Yeah, usually.
Aren't they?
Bournemouth, yeah.
Take Bournemouth for a great example, that they played the reserves at Millwall and got turned over 3-0. The fact is that if a team has got through the third round, the chances are they're going to put a decent line-up together when they get round to the last 32.
OK, we're going to head for a quick break. We've still got 5 live games to tackle, and the lads' best bet of the weekend.
Get instant access to your winnings with Cashcard Plus, Paddy's brand new card, available to use at ATMs, online or in shops. T&Cs apply. 18+. Gambleware.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Racing Post football postcast, FA Cup weekend, and Liverpool versus Wolves is the first live game up on Saturday, 12:30 kick-up. Ed Quigley on the line from Paddy Power. And how did Paddy Power price this one up, Ed?
So Liverpool are 1-4, the draw is 5-1, and Wolves are 11-1.
Where do we see?
I think Liverpool obviously had a bad result last night. I think they'll make massive changes as they did in the third round against Plymouth in bow ties. You'll probably see the likes of Lucas, Clavin, Origi all restored to the team. I just think Liverpool are still playing well, I think, but their season is starting to unravel, and the ball's definitely just not going in the net for them at all. I think Wolves kind of fielded a slightly weakened team against Stoke in the last round. They may go stronger here because, as Mark just said there, things change, and I mean Wolves are relatively safe in the Championship at this stage. I quite like the Wolves +2 here at evens. I think they could frustrate a youthful, weakened Liverpool team and possibly even force a replay. If you really fancy Liverpool, though, I expect Origi to start up top, and I would think the 3-1 on him, first goal scorer, represents a bit of value too.
Mark, do you concur?
Yeah, I've got Wolves +2 written down on my notes here as well. I mean, Liverpool struggled past Plymouth. They struggled past Exeter in last season's FA Cup. Even Leeds in the League Cup, when it started to get serious. Leeds, good side, Leeds obviously doing well in the Championship, but it took Liverpool a long time to eventually break them down. I mean, they've got Chelsea on Tuesday, so I'm assuming Jurgen Klopp will be as weak as he possibly can, really. You've got to be thinking that everybody will be given the night off, given that they've got Chelsea coming up on Tuesday. So I do like the +2. Wolves have already won at Newcastle this season. They've drawn nil at Sheffield Wednesday, and they've won at Stoke. And I think that they've got quite a few foreign players in their team that have come with under big expectations. And I'm not sure that they're up for sort of the mundane Championship games, but actually the bigger ties seem to bring out the best in them. So a trip to Anfield's about as big as it can get. If you do fancy Liverpool, I think it could be a narrow win, so maybe Liverpool to win by 1 goal. But I agree with Ed on the +2.
Not a love for Wolves, Wilco. Same with you?
I think they can put in a decent performance. I think they'll take, to some extent, probably not to the same extent as Plymouth did, who just didn't get out of their own half when they played up at Anfield in the last round. I think it's not unrealistic to expect Wolves to at least sit back and soak up a bit of pressure from what, as Mark suggests, will be sort of like Liverpool reserves. The Reds have to deal with the disappointment of the defeat against Southampton, but I think Wolves are capable of doing some decent defending there. They obviously beat Stoke in the last round, and Stoke have picked. I was hammering Stoke at the start of the season, but they've picked up immeasurably, and before Wolves' defeat at Norwich last week, they kept 3 successive clean sheets, so they know how to defend. I wouldn't expect a goal fest, and I think 6-4 under 2.5 goals looks a decent bet.
Yeah, don't know too many Wolves fans. I think Nick Goff, the new columnist on a Friday in the Racing Post, is, and if you've not read that yet, it's a cracking column. I think the 3rd instalment on Friday, Mark.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I think he's going up there as well. I think there's about 8,000 going up there from Wolves. So it's a big deal for them, and they did win at Anfield when Stephen Ward scored a few years ago. I was watching Premier League Years the other day, and that popped up. So I don't think you can read too much into that in terms of having a bet, but it's a big occasion for Wolves, probably a bigger occasion for them than what it is for Liverpool. The early kick-off as well, not going to do much for the home atmosphere, I wouldn't have thought.
Keep a look out for that every Friday. Excellent piece, Nick Goff, the new columnist. Right, second game, Southampton versus Arsenal. I'll start with you, Mark. How do we see this one going?
I'm going to go for Southampton to win.
Potentially a belter, this one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it does depend to some extent what Puel does with his team. But I think they're safe in the Premier League. They're through to the final of the League Cup. I mean, why not have a go at the FA Cup as well? They played really well at Anfield first half and then showed their counter-attacking prowess right at the death there with Shane Long. You look at they've only lost 3 times at St Mary's this season. 2 of those they were down to 10 men. The other was against Chelsea. I don't think Arsenal are playing well. They scraped past Preston. They come from 3 down to draw 3-3 at Bournemouth,
hard work,
but they are,
what should be easy
Burnley,
assignments,
98th minute penalty or whatever. So I just wonder how important this game is for Arsene Wenger as well. I mean, I'm not expecting all of his big hitters to play, and actually Southampton's defenders, Stevens and Yoshida, did really well without Van Dijk up at Anfield. So, I mean, to me, they just look overpriced. It's almost factored in here that Southampton are going to rotate because they played on Wednesday. I think if they rotate, then the price is probably about right. But if it's the first team out there, it looks too big to me.
Let's get some of those prices before we get Wilco's Pearls of Wisdom. Ed Quigley on the line from Paddy Power. How do Paddy Power price this one?
Yeah, so Southampton are 5-2. The draw is 5-2, and Arsenal are 11-10. So as Mark just said there, Southampton, fielded a strong side in in both games against Norwich in the last round. Arsenal fielded a good chunk of their first team as well. I just thought, I'd agree with everything Mark said there a second ago. I think Southampton absorbed a lot of Liverpool's pressure last night very well, and even the young lad who came in, Stevens, did really well.
He had a great game, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did. Arsenal were lucky enough against Preston in the last round. It was late heroics from Giroud that got them out of jail that night. I think the 11-10 is too short myself. The only thing I'm worried about is it's difficult to gauge how they'll react after last night. Obviously they're coming off a massive high last night. I think they should go for it too. And Puel does have a good cup record. He did over in France with Nice as well before he came here. But the way I nearly played, I think only 4 of Southampton's 15 home games this season in league and cups have gone over 2.5. So I think the under 2.5 at evens looks a bit of value to me. And I'd anticipate Arsenal to probably rest Sanchez as well. So that would even give that even more value. But conversely, then I think Giroud at 4-1 for first goal scorer could be a bet too if Sanchez doesn't play.
I was really looking forward to this one, Ed, until you come out with that stat about the goals at St Mary's. Wilco, do you see goals in this one?
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be difficult to separate the two teams. I wouldn't. I'd be veering more towards backing Southampton and backing Arsenal at 11-10. Even though Wenger used to get a lot of stick for switching teams for cup competitions, but not generally in the FA Cup so much. He's won it 6 times. He's obviously got a bit of an affinity with it. He's got problems in centre midfield, lack of numbers. Southampton could exploit that. But I do think the teams could be difficult to separate. Arsenal, well, there's one way of looking at it that they're not playing well and they're getting, they're scraping through games, but they are finding a way to get the job done. And I don't think Wenger would be particularly pleased if he got Southampton back to the Emirates. But if that's as good as he could do, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I think, again, the draw is a big runner at 5-2.
Yeah, I'd agree with it. That 11-10 looks a little bit skinny to me. Right, let's get the lads' best bets on Saturday.
This will not be beaten.
Stick with you, Wilco. Anywhere in the world on Saturday?
Anywhere in the world.
Best bets?
Okay, anywhere in the world. I'll go to Greater Manchester then.
Right.
And I'll go in League One. I'll have Walsall to win at Bury. Bury won 5-1 against Peterborough in their last home game, but it's going to take a bit more than that to convince me that the problems are all over. They've been conceding an average of nearly 2 goals a game this season, and Walsall got their act together. They've had a couple of decent results. They've had decent wins over Sheffield United and Bristol Rovers in the last few weeks, and I think at 21-10, I think there's a bit of value in there. So I'll be saddling the saddlers with my selection this week.
Very good. Mark Land in the Racing Post. We going anywhere more exotic than Greater Manchester?
It's going to Germany, but Wolfsburg's an absolute dump. So it's probably not any more exotic. But I'm going to go for Wolfsburg to beat Augsburg in the Berg derby. Wolfsburg have won their last 3 matches. This is a team that reached the Champions League quarter-finals, no less, last season, beat Real Madrid at home, nearly had them away as well. They've had a terrible season, but they have won their last 3 games. Mario Gomez has started to score goals. I think they got rid of Draxler, a star player, wanted to go. They made him stay in the summer. It was the wrong thing to do because he just poisoned the whole camp, really. He wasn't performing, so they've got rid of him to PSG. They've brought in Ntep, who set up Gomez's goal last week. Younes Mali, very clever signing from Mainz. They've got really good players, Luis Gustavo, Ricardo Rodriguez. I don't think that there's not much between the two teams in the table at the moment. That's got to change, I think, in the second half of the campaign. They're around about even money, and I think it looks a very fair price.
Ed Quigley for you, and prices for those two selections as well, please.
Yeah, so Walsall are 21 to 10, Wolfsburg are 10 to 11, and I'm definitely going to win the most exotic anyway because I'm going to Gabon for my bet. Yeah, mine is Tunisia 13 to 10 to beat Burkina Faso. I've been actually really impressed by Tunisia in this tournament. They lost to Senegal in the opening game, but I thought they were really unlucky in that game. And it's like Senegal are 9 to 4 clear favs now at this stage in that tournament too. They're growing into the tournament. They beat Algeria, beat Zimbabwe. You'd expect them to beat Zimbabwe, but still the result against Algeria was mightily impressive. So yeah, I think the 13 to 10 here feels big, and I think they'll have too much for Burkina Faso.
A solid looking treble. Ed, what does that pay with Paddy Power?
That pays just about 12.5 to 1 is what it pays.
12.5 to 1. Lovely. Jump on a Paddy Power there. Right, we'll take a quick break and tackle Sunday's games.
Get instant access to your winnings with Cashcard Plus, Paddy's brand new card, available to use at ATMs, online or in shops. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.co.uk.
You're both listening and watching the Racing Post Football Postcast. I'm Dave Clark, joined by colleagues Mark Langdon, Ian Wilkerson and Ed Quigley from our friends at Paddy Power on the line. We're going to look at Sunday's games now, and Mill versus Watford. Ed, how did Paddy Power price this one?
Yeah, so Millwall are 2 to 1, the draw is 12 to 5, and Watford are 11 to 8. Yeah, Millwall are definitely taking this cup seriously. They hammered Bournemouth in the last round, fielded their first team, and they're also starting to turn around. Their league form was absolute. Like, I've backed them for League One at the start of the season because they're very highly rated in Asia, and it wasn't really reflected in their outright prices. So there was a bit of value there, but they had an atrocious December, and I think there was another month where they were really poor as well. Watford are also taking it very seriously. They played a strong team in the last round too. I just think Watford look like. Watford are 11 to 8. To me, that's just a little bit big, and I'd be backing Watford here at 11 to 8 with my bet. Yeah.
Ian Wilkerson, for you?
Yeah, I'd agree with Ed. Millwall, they've won their last four at home, including that game against a much weakened Bournemouth in the last round. But there's a big difference between playing a League One team and playing a Premier League team, and I think Watford are the sort of team with the physical ability to cope with the demands of a trip to the Den. They're not playing, although they have picked up recently, they are not playing one of the leading lights in the league in the third tier. And although Burton are the only team that Watford have beaten in their last 9 games, I think if they have their eye on their ball, that they can oblige in this one. I'd be backing them at 11 to 8.
Lagan, how do we assess Watford's form coming into this one? Pegged back twice by Bournemouth, I think 1 win in 8 now.
Yeah, I mean, they had a real major injury crisis, didn't they, over Christmas, which is probably the worst time to get it. It's like you play 4 matches or whatever, and if you're not in the right shape and you can't rotate, and the games are coming every 2 or 3 days, and you just keep losing, you slip down the table. I mean, whenever I watch Watford, I'm not impressed with them at all. I'm struggling to remember a time when, was maybe against Everton, they did all right, to come back there. But
they gave West Ham a good hiding as well. And they were one of a few teams to do that at the start.
On TV, they've not really. I remember Crystal Palace. I mean, Palace are awful, and Palace outplayed them at the Vic, didn't they? I was looking at both teams to score. And Watford have obviously got a lot of power up front. Deeney, particularly sort of used to playing at this level as well. A trip to the Den's not going to scare him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around the block long enough, and I think he'll sort of drill into the rest of the team what's required and what's coming. But Millwall are very decent up front. I think that they can score. So I'm going to go both teams to score. Watford have only kept 2 clean sheets in their 11 away matches. This is obviously a drop down in class, but Ed mentioned sort of Millwall's terrible run of a couple of months ago. They were missing at that time Gregory and Morrison, which is basically Millwall. You take them 2 out, and they've picked up since the return of those 2 very powerful front men. So maybe Watford to win and both teams to score if you're looking to really push out the price, but I'll just play a bit safer. Both teams to score.
Okay, right. Ed Quigley of Paddy Power. Will the fairy tale for Sutton United live on into Sunday as they host Leeds United, playing on an artificial pitch as well? Do we see that as a factor?
Sutton are 4 to 1. The draw is 11 to 4, and Leeds are 8 to 13. To be honest, I was prepping for this podcast last night, and I was kind of feeling tired. It was late, and I was like, I was just going to write down Leeds to win and just be lazy. But then professionalism kicked in, and I dug a bit deeper and started looking at Sutton's home form.
Went for Leeds to win.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. There might be something there, right? I went through Sutton's home form. It's actually unbelievable. Like they've only lost 3 of their 20 home matches this season in all comps. So the artificial pitch must be working. I think Leeds will, I remember doing the last podcast in the FA Cup, and they were playing Oxford United, and we had to wait for the team news that time. I think Leeds will feel a pretty similar side to the they got out of jail that night, because they were up against it for a spell. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with, I think Sutton will cause them problems, and I think time of first goal after the 26th minute of 10-11 could be a bet. And there's also, I don't anticipate Chris Wood to play, but if he does, this guy's on fire. He's 16-5 for first goal should he start, and that's a definite bet. He's open to scoring in Leeds' last 3 games and has 5 goals in his last 4. He's also 4-5 anytime too, so that'll be a cracking bet too if he does start.
Lango, the FA Cup been synonymous with sort of lower league teams hosting the bigger teams, and the sort of pitch being a leveller in the state of it. But how do we assess an artificial pitch? Much of a difference?
I think a lot of it these days is psychological, because it's not like the QPR and Luton.
You won't remember the QPR pitch.
No, it's not like the plastic pitches of before, but it's. I do think there is a psychological thing for teams when they go there that. They're almost half beaten before they've turned up. Leeds have got a very big match coming up on Wednesday, Blackburn away. They're absolutely flying in the Championship at the moment. If anybody's going to catch Brighton or Newcastle, it will be Leeds. The fans are right with them at this stage. I was looking at Antonsen to score first. I don't think Chris Wood will play, so I'm expecting him to come in. He got the first goal at Fleetwood earlier on in the League Cup. He was absolutely rampant in Swedish football. He's not really, because of the form of Wood, it's difficult for him to get in at the moment. I've not looked into it any deeper, but I was considering the fact that he's played in Sweden and in Scandinavian. If anybody's got sort of maybe some experience on an artificial 3G pitch, could well be him, because they do have a lot of them out there because of the weather. So with that in mind, I was going for him to score the first goal. Interestingly, that Sutton are quite well liked in Asia, probably because of their pitch. So they were very well backed. I think it was against Cheltenham earlier on in the competition, certainly even before that. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. And I'm just hoping Antonsen can get the start and then get the goal.
Very interesting line there, Mark Langdon. The best in the business, Wilco, for you?
No team is going to want to get knocked out by a non-league team in the FA Cup. I can't believe that Leeds are not going to be on the ball for this game. The pitch, I don't know whether it will be as great a factor as people think they're.
I can see on your page, your first line, dream dies. That's a bit strong.
Well, I said earlier that I didn't have a lot of, I'm a bit of a misery guts when it comes to the FA Cup, and this is just the sort of game that gets my eye. But I think that the pitch won't be as much, probably not be as much as a factor as perhaps people are placing in. I did notice that Sutton played. They had an FA Trophy replay on Tuesday, which went to extra time. That could play a factor, because they're obviously going to be playing at a pace that is a lot quicker than they used to be. They're used to playing. It's obviously a massive game, and the crowd will be up for it, and all those. It ticks all the boxes for a great afternoon out on BT Sport, but not for me. I'm gonna be a misery and say back Leeds at 4-6.
Misery guts, Wilco. Right, a much more familiar venue would be Old Trafford, the venue for Manchester United and Wigan. The 4 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Ed Quigley, Paddy Power, prices please.
Yeah, so United are 2-11, the draw is 13-2, and Wigan are 14-1. I actually think United look too big here, which you don't say too often about a 2-11 shot. Wigan have only won 3 of their 15 away games all season. I think United will obviously make changes, but the players coming in, they've such squad depth, are quality. I went with United -2 against Reading in the last round, and I'll go with it again here at 7-5. Rooney, Rashford both appeal as first goal scorer bets, because I don't expect Zlatan to start as well. They're both 3-1, so Dutch, that's even money. That'd be a bet should Zlatan not start.
Interesting one, that one. Dutch in the 2 forwards. Wilco, for you?
It's nice to get the opportunity to watch Manchester United in the FA Cup.
50 odd knocks
yeah,
out,
it only goes back to sort of Bobby Charlton's debut against Burnley, I think. This is. This is a game for sort of like TV viewing figures rather than anything else. Wigan struggling in the Championship. It's difficult to see them doing anything but that at Old Trafford. Mourinho's got a bit of an affinity for the Cup. I don't think he'll hold back. And like Ed suggests, it looks like a game made for Manchester United's new record goal scorer to notch first. So I'd be backing Rooney at 3-1 if I'm not eating my dinner or not watching a game.
Mark Langdon, for you?
Yeah, I was looking at United to win to 0. I mean, the United have got Hull at home in midweek in the Premier League. So, I mean, I don't know. Mourinho may not feel it's that desperate to rest everybody. Anyway, I mean, it depends. He probably won't want to rest them for too long. So those that don't play on Thursday may well get a run out here on Sunday. I don't think it really matters. They've got such depth. You know, if you're bringing in Rooney, Rashford, Mata, players of that sort of ilk, is going to be too much for Wigan, managed by the former United reserve coach Warren Joyce, who's actually got a slight reaction in last. They've won their last 3 matches. 2 of those, though, were against massive strugglers in Forest and Burton, who were awful in the Championship. The other was against Brentford, who are sort of average Championship team. No, United to win to 0. It's almost impossible for him to put out a weakened team. He never sort of picks 5 or 6 youngsters you've never heard of. You know, there's always sort of a method to sort of behind him wanting to pick players to play. And even if you've got ones like Luke Shaw coming in, I mean, that's not a bad thing, is it? I was sort of thinking, what's the worst case scenario? You got like Romero in goal, probably Fosu Mensah at right back, Luke Shaw at left back, and somebody like Fellaini in midfield. I mean, it's not bad, is it? I think it'd be way too much for Wigan United to win to 0.
What price is that, Ed, to win to 0?
It's 5-6.
5-6. So I think I'll be having a couple of quid on that. Mourinho doesn't like to concede many. Right, we've got a whole host of Premier League fixtures next week as well. Does anything catch the eye, gents? Wilco?
I think Chelsea will win at Anfield. Okay. I think they're looking the real deal. Liverpool, it's plain that they're having a bit of a wobble. Not scoring goals, looking shaky at the back. I think Conte's team can exploit both of those. And, I fancy them to win at Anfield.
One hand on that Premier League trophy already for some, Mark Langdon. Should they come through Anfield with 3 points, probably game over, is it?
I wouldn't say game over. I mean, I think if they get sort of 4 from the next 2, Liverpool and Arsenal, then it possibly is. But I mean, we've seen teams collapse from bigger leads than this, and they've not got one team chasing them; they've got 4 or 5. I mean, I'm not declaring it all over
it's
just
not
yet.
Over yet just yet.
No, I mean, I'm going to disagree with Wilco. I like Liverpool in this game purely because the games that Chelsea have lost were against teams that pressed the hell out of them. I was going to say something else there, but when they pressed the hell out of them, Spurs did it to them at White Hart Lane, Arsenal did it to them at the Emirates, and Liverpool did it to them at Stamford Bridge. Now, Liverpool were playing better then than they are now. I just wonder about Chelsea's ability. That when like Matic plays in midfield, they're a little bit sluggish in there, and I just think that if Liverpool are really at it, like they were when they beat Man City and when they won away at Arsenal, and they've drawn a couple of times with Manchester United, if they're on sort of full speed and play at a high tempo, I wonder if it might catch Chelsea out. Not a great betting heat, but I just thought Liverpool for me.
It's Tuesday night, that game. Quickly, how did Paddy Power price that one up?
Yeah, Liverpool are 6-4. The draw is 23-10, and Chelsea are 9-5. I actually fancy the unders in that game myself, 10-11. If you look at Liverpool's games against kind of the Grade A opposition in the league, they've all gone under 2.5 nearly. I think they might have all gone.
It was only the Arsenal game, wasn't it, when Holding and Chambers were centre half for Arsenal?
Yeah,
that
was the first weekend of the season as well. Exactly. So I think the unders is a cracking bet there.
It'll be a washout.
Yeah, I just think Chelsea will just shut up shop and hope to get a point. I'd say almost they might catch them in the break and beat them because Liverpool will be coming at them to try and get a result because they obviously need it. But I know the unders for me at 10-11 there.
Anything else catch the eye in the?
I also like Burnley at home to Leicester at 17-10. I just Burnley have one of the best home records in the league. It's what's going to keep them up. Well, it looks like it's what's going to keep them up anyway. And Leicester have the second worst away record in the league, so it just makes sense to me.
Excellent stuff. Hopefully the guys' input has perked up your thoughts for the FA Cup weekend ahead. We've got plenty of Premier League action as well on Tuesday and Wednesday. Join us again next week, next Thursday, for yet another Racing Post Football Postcast.
the Football Postcast in association with Paddy Power, the place to bet on football in play with a huge special every weekend.